Welcome to the Moon and Backpackers.
We're Lou and Joe, and in September 2021, we left our jobs, rented out our house, and bought a van so we could travel around South America.
Our mission is to show you the best places to see,
The best in local cuisine,
the best things to do,
and all whilst keeping it real.
and that means keeping in the outtakes.
So welcome to our channel. Thanks for joining our journey.
So sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the ride. Hello.
This is Lou,
And this is Joe.
and we're to the Moon and Backpackers,
And we are in Lima, Peru.
Woo!
So in our first video about Lima, Peru, we spoke about what to expect when you land, things about the currency, SIM cards, all of that good stuff, which you can find by clicking on this link here or by clicking on the link in the description.
In this video, we're going to focus on our top 5 favourite things to do while you're in Lima, Peru. Let's do it. We find that the best way to get to know a city is to understand its history, and the best place in Lima, Peru to get to know the historic buildings and background of the city is El Centro. In El Centro, you'll find a big plaza called Plaza Mayor.
Plaza Mayor.
Plaza Mayor.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. Our Spanish is not fantastic, so apologies. Or Plaza de Armas, but...
Yeah. This is where you'll find some really cool buildings like the cathedral, you've got the Archbishop's headquarters, you also have the government palace, and a lot of other buildings as well.
It's basically where Lima and kind of all of Peru is run. Basically, that's where everybody resides there. The government palace is cool as well because at about midday or so, they have a changing of the guard, which is this big spectacle where the old guards are swapped in for the new guards with music and brass instruments and a big choreographed movement, I guess is the best way to describe it. All happens about 12 o'clock every single day, which we forgot about, and we arrived there just as it finished, but we did manage to see a little bit of it, so that was
really
good.
lucky. I would say, I think it starts, we've read a lot of blogs that say it started at 12, but actually I think it starts more at quarter to 12 and finishes at 12. So maybe try and make sure that you get there in time for maybe 11:30 if you want to catch it all. Also in the plaza you will find the cathedral, which was probably one of our favourite parts of El Centro. It's where all of the archbishops are buried, so you can go and visit their tombs.
The catacombs.
And there are some kind of creepy things like skulls down there as well, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
But they date back hundreds and hundreds of years. There's some really old tombs that are down.
They all have the names on the places where they're buried, and they also have the dates of which they were born and died, basically. So it's very interesting to see how far back they go. Can't remember how far back it went.
I don't remember, but you'll probably be able to spot on the video. So because it is the centre of the capital city of Peru, it does get very, very busy and the traffic can be mental. So we would definitely suggest getting a taxi into the centre and try and avoid peak times like first thing in the morning and later in the afternoon. You can easily find a taxi, you can just get one off the road, make sure that they are properly licensed and safe though, or you can use any of the taxi apps like Cabify or InDriver. To get to the centre from Miraflores, the touristy district, it's probably around $15 or £2 or £3.
We think probably the best way to get the most that you can out of El Centro and to understand its history fully is to get a walking tour, and we do recommend Eduardo. He was fantastic. He's so enthusiastic about the city. His knowledge is second to none. We felt like we knew so much more about the city just by walking with him. So yeah, definitely give him a shout if you're in the city. Deep breaths.
If you want to understand a little bit more of the history and go to the outskirts of Lima, then you can also get a walking tour to Callao. All right?
Yes, that is how you say Callao.
Callao. That you don't go here on your own because it is a little bit dangerous, but if you go with a really well experienced tour guide, then you should be fine. Don't take anything valuable, make sure you're not wearing any fancy jewellery, but we're making it sound really scary, but it is so worth it. There is a naval war museum here, And we actually had like a one-to-one guide with someone who worked at the museum because there was no one else there. And she taught us all about the war between Peru and Chile, what happened when the Spanish invaded. You can see models of the old ships, and it also has a lot of memorabilia from the ships, including things like uniforms, weapons, and flags as well. It was really, really cool.
And action.
So another thing that you can do is walk along the coast, and it sounds like a very meh experience, but the coast along Barranca Miraflores is beautiful. It's full of little parks, little hidden gems, lots of little pathways and viewing points, and there's loads of things that you can do. So quite a lot of the times in the day when we had nothing to do, we'd go and sit in one of the parks and just watch the world go by. And you can learn a lot about the culture and the people from just sitting and watching people go about their daily business. Like, there was one girl we saw having her quinceañera, dressed up like a princess.
Yes, that's what we think was happening, because like, yeah, she was proper dolled up, beautiful dress, like hair's all done. It was really pretty, yeah.
There are a couple of points of interest along the coast. You've got Faro de la Marina, which is the big famous lighthouse, Parque del Amor, the Park of Love, where there's some really pretty mosaics and a statue. You could just maybe sit there and have a coffee. There's a nice little coffee shop next door. There's also a lot of paragliding that happens off of the cliffs of the coast. They're pretty high. Can't remember how high.
Oh, no, I can't remember either.
Yeah, which is
maybe
usually
like 70, 100 metres high.
Yeah, pretty
Something
cool.
like that.
Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
pretty
It's quite unusual for a coast. Usually you expect there to be, I mean, there are a few beaches, but then you just have this very southern cliff
face.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. It's also worth pointing out that sometimes very random events happen along the coast, one of which we stumbled across. So we were walking down the coast in one of the evenings to Miraflores to go out to a restaurant, and we just saw all these Nike banners that were up, and we thought, what's going on over there? And like a mini arena that had been set up in Love Park. And do you want to explain what happened?
So essentially, it turned out there was a lot of young people there, all chatting, and there was this cool hip hop beat in the background, just like a little instrumental. And then all of a sudden, someone grabbed a microphone, announced some stuff we didn't understand because our Spanish is not very good, and they started to form little circles. And it turned out they were all having like a big rap battle competition, which was friggin' sick.
It was so cool. So unfortunately we had our restaurant reservation, so we were like, oh, we have to go off and have dinner. But when we came back late in the evening after a few drinks, we were like, I wonder if it's still there. Went up to it and it was absolutely rammed full of people, pitch black dark with just the spotlights, and it was the final. Semi-final and the final.
The two semi-finals and the finals. There was one versus one. Each had a microphone in hand, taking it in turns, dropping some sick burns to the beat, and every now and again the crowd would just erupt in like, oh, when someone said something absolutely devastating.
Yep.
We wish we could understand what they said. Something about your mum and being a dog.
Yep, that was all we could understand. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. The coast is just full of lots of little treasures like that. Highly recommend.
It's quite a long way from top to bottom, so if you don't feel like walking, you can always hire one of the city bikes from Lima. They're all around there, docking stations everywhere. We spoke about it in our last video, so go have a look at that. So yeah, the magic water circuit. Wow. Did you like it?
It was really cool. It was probably one of my favourite things to do in Lima. It's a bit cheesy, but I loved every second.
So it's a big water park, basically, that is situated near the National Stadium, about, 2 kilometres or so south of Plaza San Martin. Mm-hmm. And it consists of 13 different fountains, all of different sizes, all of different styles, and it's just magical. It's just, as the name suggests, it was just very, very pleasant. We got there sort of late afternoon, sort of had a wander around, but yeah, it really sort of came to life when the sun went down, and all the fountains have lights and sounds, and that really started to pop when the sun went down and it was all dark, and it was just, it was glorious, wasn't it?
So we'll put the website below for the water park so that you can see how to buy tickets. When we went, it was only 4 soles, which is really cheap.
4 soles for that.
So
I thought that
cheap.
was so worth it. Like, I'd give way more happily than that because it was just absolutely worth it. No doubt about it.
If you're looking for something to eat while you're there, so you're going to be there in the late afternoon, evening, there aren't any restaurants for you to get meals at, but there are some snack bars like with ice creams, pretzels and milkshakes and things, so you can get a snack while you're there.
Now, this one is a little bit of a cheat because technically it's not in Lima, but you know, it's close enough for sure that we absolutely recommend just having a day in Huacachina. You can get there by bus quite conveniently. It takes about 4 to 5 hours, so make sure you pack yourself some bit of food just in case you get a bit hungry. There are 2 main bus companies that take you there. They take you to the city of Ica, which is just outside, and then from there you can easily get a taxi to Huacachina itself.
Or if you want to rent a group tour like we did, then they'll grab a coach to come and pick you up, and then they'll take you to Ica and they'll take you home as well, which I thought was a little bit pricey, but if you think about the cost of the coach and then having to organise a taxi, maybe it works out okay. We felt a little bit rushed being on the group tour. We were kind of herded from place to place because it is 4 or 5 hours. It's a lot to pack into a day.
Yeah.
In hindsight, if I could go back and change it, I'd maybe go the afternoon before, stay in a hostel or a hotel near Huacachina, then have the full day to explore it on our own without a tour, so we're not rushed, and then make our way back later in the afternoon. But if you're going to do a group tour, yeah, prepare to be herded along like sheep.
So, Huacachina is a desert oasis surrounded by gigantic sand dunes that go on for as far as the eye can see. It's all situated in a desert, so it's going to be very hot, and don't forget your sun cream.
Oh yes, don't forget. It was so sunny when we went.
Yeah.
And really strange because when you're in Lima, it's a very grey, cloudy city most of the time, quite cool. So we were not prepared for, a 4 or 5 hour drive, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a desert. We were not prepared for that.
It was hot.
It was really hot, but the coach on the way back was very cold, and I really wish that I'd had a jumper. So
it was late.
Bring lots of layers.
It was late, yeah.
So in the desert, there are lots of things that you can do. If you've already researched it, you will have heard of these. They're very popular. You usually rent a dune buggy, which takes you up into the dunes. Oh man, there's some really horrific footage, which I'm sure we're going to put here, of me screaming my face off because I would say it's quite a thrill.
Oh yeah, it's definitely for thrill seekers, but
definitely it was probably the limit of what I could hack. It was a bit like a roller coaster. If you like roller coasters, you'll love this. If you don't like that dropping sensation, which I absolutely hate, and kind of going over the peak of something and not being able to see where you're going, then you'll love it. But yeah, it was a bit extreme for me.
It was wicked.
But we did also have quite a crazy driver who always seemed to go off track and make his own paths and go on the steepest bit of the dune, and almost feel a bit sick.
It was a massive adrenaline rush, but it still
you loved it.
I loved it. It still felt pretty safe. Like, it's definitely one of the top things to do when you go to Huacachina. Just try not to be afraid. Just go for it. Go for it. You won't regret it. It's so much fun.
And be careful if you have hats or sunglasses. I almost lost my sunglasses so many times. Do not kind of have them on your head or even hold them, because you're going to want to hold on to your seatbelt. Leave them in a bag. We had our bags around our feet, didn't we? On the floor. Yeah. Once you've done the dune buggy, then they'll take you up to the top of one of the dunes where you can try sandboarding. This, again, the sight of it freaked me out, but actually doing it was completely fine. I don't know what I was scared about, and I'm a big wimp, so you'll be fine.
The dunes are very tall, so you do seem to go down daunting. Quite far. Yeah, very daunting. But when we did it, we had our own boards, were about our own height, and we laid on the front of them, arms sort of by our chest, and we used our feet to brake, which you should do. We do recommend braking as you go down, because you can pick up quite a bit of speed, especially when they wax the bottom of it. So be aware about that.
Yeah.
I think some places that some places that are there that allow you to do the sandboarding where you stand.
There are also some hotels in Huacachina. And I know some people who have stayed there and then been able to watch the sunset come over the oasis, and it sounds really nice. We're going back to Huacachina in a couple of months because we're meeting some friends there, so we will be sure to give this a go and feedback, because I think that's going to be really worth it. If you can get a space in the hotel, we recommend staying.
Definitely.
Part of the tour as well, we also went to Pisco, which again we would highly recommend. Technically not in Lima, but only a short bus ride away, where they make the famous Pisco.
The Pisco, the very famous Pisco, which is delicious.
So good. Again, because we were on a tour, this bit was very, very rushed. But if you're not on a tour, you can organise to have a tour of the vineyards where they show you around, show you how they make Pisco from the special grapes. And then they do a tasting session, obviously, which is the best bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It made the coach home much more enjoyable because we were all a little bit tipsy. The third thing that we also did on the group tour, it's a lot to squeeze in a day, is we went to Paracas, which is a town on the coast. And usually with these group tours, you get a boat tour off to a seal island. And you get to see all of these seals. Apparently they come up quite close to the boat and you can get some good photos. But the weather when we went, oh boy.
So if you can't go on the boat tour, you'll have a tour of like the little peninsula that is situated in the Paracas National Park, which is very cool on its own. But yeah, be prepared for bad weather.
Yeah.
One of our favourite things to do was to try the food. The cuisine of Peru is world renowned, and not being foodies ourselves, we were absolutely blown away by how tasty some of the food is.
I was a bit apprehensive at first. I was like, best in the world. That is quite a claim.
That is very much like your expectations are up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And they were met.
Yeah.
They were met.
Oh, 100%.
They were definitely
met and superseded, like. Yeah. It's frozen. So there are loads of places to eat in Miraflores. We don't have any specific recommendations at the moment because, as we said in our last video, we didn't spend much time in Miraflores. We actually quite liked the vibe of Barranco a little bit more. There are definitely places to eat if you are vegetarian or vegan. I think they're quite aware of gluten-free and celiac as well. So yeah, if you've got the app Happy Cow, then you'll definitely be able to find something if you have dietary requirements. One of probably our favourite things to eat was chowfa, which is Peru and Chinese fusion food, and it gives you this just mind-blowing rice which has all of these amazing flavours in. Every mouthful is just full of flavours.
Yeah.
My biggest bit of advice would just be to be brave and to just go for it. If you're travelling with someone, maybe get 2 things and try half each so that you can explore as much as possible.
Definitely.
They have really, really good seafood. If you eat fish, I would highly recommend that.
Ceviche is a must.
Yes,
a must try.
ceviche.
It's basically raw fish that's cooked in the acids of like lemon and lime juice. I'm underselling it, but it's definitely, you definitely need to try it for sure. Like the ceviche there is fantastic.
I was really apprehensive about the idea of raw fish because I have quite a sensitive stomach. I was like, this is going to make me sick. Never had sushi before. But obviously I was like, we're in Peru, I have to try it. And it was delicious, and I did not get ill from it. So all of the, thank goodness.
Thank God for that.
All of the lemon and the lime acids kind of dissolve any of the bad bacteria or anything in the fish, so they effectively cook it in that sense. Something else we really liked in terms of dessert were picones. I hope I'm saying that right. Picarones. So you'll usually find these on the coast, maybe on one of the beaches or in one of the little dessert shops, and they're like fried ring donuts that they put this syrup on. Do you remember those? Those were so good.
On the beach. One of my favourite things was lomo saltado, which is stir-fried beef with like I think it must be like soy sauce and stir-fried vegetables like red onions and peppers, rice, and there's like chips that go in it as well. But the flavors of all of those things combined just explodes in your mouth, and it's just wonderful. That sounds rude. Definitely, if you're a meat eater, do give lomo saltado a go, because it was absolutely mind-blowing. The first time I had it, I was just like, food's never going to be the same.
No.
Food is never going to be the same.
If you also like fish, you might like chicharron, which is like lots of little pieces of fish that are deep fried. Chicharron was good.
Ooh,
With like some lemon scribble. With like some lemon. With like some lemon sprinkled on top.
Blah, blah.
And one other tip that I would give you as well is not to stick to the really big places that are on the high street. We went into a couple of places because they looked big and fancy, and actually the meals that we had in those probably weren't as good as some of the smaller, lesser known places. So when you go to a country, instead of asking where someone recommends that you go to eat, ask where they go to eat, and you're more likely to find more local, authentic cuisine. One of our favourite restaurants, I think, in Miraflores was El Fagon, which again was just full of locals. There were no tourists in there. It was really cheap local prices, and the food was just insane. The service was really good. They were really shocked when we came in there.
Yeah,
I don't think they get tourists often.
Just off the main street as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So perhaps that's why it wasn't as busy. But yeah, it was absolutely worth visiting for sure.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like sliced potatoes with Huacachina sauce on. Again, oh man, anything in Huacachina sauce is really good. It's like a creamy, I don't even know how to describe it. Like a creamy kind of mustard, but I don't like mustard, so it's not like a mustard. It's just a creamy, buttery sauce.
It's like a creamy sauce.
Yeah. So yeah, there's something for everyone with Peruvian food. And just to have a quick chat about drinks, pisco sours, 100%. You've got to try one.
Just be a bit careful, because they are quite lethal. So maybe don't have too much, because they will mess you up. As a forewarning for vegans, it does have egg whites in it. So just to make you aware.
For vegans. If you're not feeling adventurous with food, you will also find bog standard, you know, perhaps more comfortable, more familiar cuisine as well. So things like pizzas and pastas. There's Italian food out there. You'll find chips. You'll find quesadillas. You'll find paella. You'll find risottos. So again, don't let the food put you off. If you're not a massive foodie and you want to stick to what you know, then you'll find there's something for everyone.
But please do have a go.
Be adventurous.
You won't regret it. It's amazing. Just take the plunge and try something new.
This by no means covers everything that there is to see in Lima, but we feel like we should just do some honourable mentions for some other places that we love that didn't make it into the top 5. Here we go.
Parque Kennedy, which is in the centre of the Miraflores district, where you'll find hundreds of cats. And if you're lucky, you might even get a little cat come and sit on your lap for a cuddle, like Joe did.
Best moment ever.
Best moment ever.
Again, we keep going on about Barranco. Please make sure you visit it. Miraflores is great, but there are other awesome districts in Lima. Barranco, the graffiti, the wall art, the Bridge of Sighs, the plaza as well that's there. There's loads to see in Barranco. So yeah, make sure you check it out.
You can also go to the beach. One of the districts, Chorrillos, has a very popular beach which you can go and spend the day there just chilling. And if you're feeling a bit brave and don't mind the cold too much, you can also give surfing it.
One thing we should just say about Chorrillos, though, there is a walk that goes up to the cross on the hill. We've been told by locals not to go up there on our own. Apparently a lot of people are robbed up there, so yeah, we would say probably avoid going up to the cross. Just stick to the main beach where there's lots of people. The markets in Lima are fantastic. You can get yourself one of those cheesy classic alpaca jumpers if you like, and lots of other souvenirs as well.
So we hope you found this video very useful. If you have anything else that you want to add to the list, or anything that we missed, that you recommend, please don't be afraid to write it below in the comments so that other people can take those advices and go and explore this amazing city.
So this blog and all of this advice took a little while to put together, so as always we recommend any support that you have to offer. That includes clicking the like button below, commenting, sharing with your friends, and following us on our social media channels as well. And don't forget to check out our website where we have lots of written blogs, so if you need more detail in writing you can go check that out as well. But for now,
thanks very much for watching.
Thanks guys, see you
and
soon.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.